What's up, good people? What's up, good people? My name is Dominique Bonds,
And I am Dexter Peggins Jr.
and in partnership with WYTV7 Christian Broadcasting Network, this is when men open up, where we are redefining manhood through transparency. And we are back again. This is our second episode of the podcast, right?
Second one, the last one was exceptionally well, very well received. So thank you all for contributing to the discussion. Thank you all for just participating and following us.
Yeah, and we're going to continue on that conversation from last week. Last week, if you did not listen to last week's video or podcast episode, we discussed the fear of failure, and we really did think this was a great topic to start off with, because this is something that is a barrier for many people, and it's really holding people back in so many different ways. And we just thought that would be something that a lot of men are dealing with, and be something good to really dissect. But today is all about how to turn fear into opportunity. And man, we just had to go deeper with it, because there was a lot of questions. There was some great feedback and everything, and we really did think that this was something that we have to go back into. So you can just go head on and how to turn fear into opportunity. There are so many different ways we can do this, and the things that we consider challenges, the things that we're afraid of, this can reveal a whole lot of different things.
Oh yeah, I mean it's such a wide subject matter. When we're talking about fear, and the significance of fears is that oftentimes we wrestle with it, and it keeps us from moving forward in the things that we know we're supposed to do. And even on last week when we talked about the spirit of fear,
Yeah.
the thing about the spirit of fear is that the spirit of fear is something that you find yourself in. It's a disposition, it's a mentality, it's an attitude that keeps you in a constant state
Yeah.
of being afraid, so much so that you don't pursue the thing that you're supposed to do, so much so that you find yourself in taking almost a fearful and maybe even a cowardice approach to the things that you've been called to do. And so on tonight, we want to dive further into the topic and the subject matter of fear,
Right.
because even with that being said, I hope we get a chance to talk about it tonight. There is such a thing as a healthy level of fear, not to be confused with the spirit of fear, which once again is a mindset and an attitude.
Right, right. But there is some ways where the fear can guide us in whatever
Oh,
direction.
definitely.
So let's go more into how the fear can really guide us when it comes down to what it can actually reveal.
Well, so fear can serve as a guide first and foremost by asking yourself, what is this fear telling me? What is the message behind this fear that I'm experiencing? One of the things that comes up is, I'm afraid because I don't feel like I'm ready, or I don't feel like I'm prepared for this opportunity. God forbid, you may also hear, well, I'm not good enough. And so here's the thing about it. When fear is a guide, you can ask yourself, okay, it's telling me that I'm not ready. So let me explore that, because if it's a matter of preparation, if you're afraid because of preparation, then you can start to put stuff into place in order to make yourself ready for the next level. Now, here's the caveat to that. If the fear is speaking to an attitude about how you see yourself, then I think you're actually dealing with the spirit of fear that we talked about earlier, because the spirit of fear will say, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough. And if you find yourself dealing with that, then you need to get to the root of that issue,
Right.
the root of that matter, because that's going to keep you from moving forward into realizing your next level.
Right. And if you're just now joining with us, please share the broadcast, and please tag anyone that you believe that's going to be impacted by this. I really like that, because when it comes down to fear, it's almost as if, let's say one of your sons come to you and say, Dad, I'm sick. one of the first things you're going to ask is, well, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And you're going to ask what's wrong with you because you're trying to really pull those symptoms. You're trying to really pull some more specific things that's going on with your son. By asking these questions, you're actually diving deeper to coming to a conclusion, which is maybe a diagnosis, right? Or if you're not able to diagnose them, you're going to take them to the doctor. And it's important for your son to receive that diagnosis so now he can be prescribed that medication and he can go on with being healed and being cured or whatever the case may be. So that's the same thing with fear. When people say that they're afraid of something or they're having this fear, it's the same thing as saying that you're sick. We have to dive deeper. So we just focus on us just being afraid, but when we dive deeper, the opportunity is for you to understand exactly what's really going on with you. And I love this so much because one of the first things that we told people to do in the last video is to really take time out to really identify what's really going on, what's really stirring up that fear. And I believe when you can really identify what's really stirring up that fear, we can really dive deeper into start asking ourselves more questions. This is the process that we really have to go through. We have to really, just like when we sitting across from a doctor, they're going to be asking us a list of questions, right? And these lists of questions are going to help us identify specifically what's really going on. So when you are fearful of something, you're going to have to do the same process with yourself. And you may have to get somebody else to pull those things out of you. We always say look within, but there's no problem with getting somebody else to help you out and pull those things out of you. But really dive deeper and really go through all those lists of questions so you can have more understanding of what that root is.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And I mean, also with the doctor, now here's the thing about fear. If we're looking at fear as a sickness, when the doctor prescribes you a regimen, you have to stick to the regimen to get over the condition. And a lot of times we don't want to do the work of identifying the issue because there's a regimen associated with overcoming that fear. And I mean, and I love tonight's topic about using fear as an overcoming fear and turning it into an opportunity. And one of the things I want to say is that one of the regimens that you may find yourself, prescribing to yourself is intentionally putting yourself in an environment and in a situation where you're having to confront the fear. Growing up, listen, I hated public speaking. I still, am not a big fan of it, but growing up, it wasn't so much of a hate as it was a fear. I was terrified of getting in front of audiences. But here's the thing: as I grew up, I found myself becoming more self-aware of the fact that I was afraid to do it, and I would stutter and I would get nervous. But I soon began to realize that my purpose, this was a necessary means to fulfilling my purpose. I couldn't get around it. It's a part of me having to do what I believe I'm called to do. And so in recognizing that, I said, okay, hey, look, this is not going anywhere, so you're going to have to get used to doing it. And so by, trial by fire, some people call it, overcoming by immersion, whatever, I put myself in the situation where now it's not as terrifying. I still don't love it, but it's easy now. It's not a fear because I've overcome it.
And I want to go back to the regimen because that's very, very important, because what we're doing is this is not just about motivating people and making them feel good, but we're really just trying to help people develop that process, and that process is going to require a regimen that they're going to have to go through. Now, I like that I read in Matthew 6, each day has enough trouble of its own. And that's really, really big, because when we have this regimen, sometimes what we do is we get away from the process. So with the process, it consists of steps, multiple steps. And just like we said in the last video, what we do is we just we overwhelm ourselves.
Yeah.
And we try to process the whole regimen, or we just focus on the outcome, right? And that can really overwhelm us. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
And that can stress us out. So we focus so much on that to the point where we're actually losing that motivation, and we're losing that encouragement, and we just say, you know what, this is just way too much. But when we just understand that we have to develop a regimen, and then understand this is a process,
Yeah.
and take one day at a time, then what we're going to do is we're just going to focus on what's on our plate currently, and focus on that on each day. That's going to really help us to stay in the right mindset, so we can move closer and closer and closer and closer into our goal. So that's very, very important, because we try to process so much at one time, instead of just focusing on that one step. What is that first step? Accomplish that first step, and then go to the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. And what you're doing is you're moving closer, and that's going to cause you to increase your encouragement, and you're going to be more motivated to keep going and to pursue your goal.
Yeah, and I mean, and let's be honest, you know, sometimes this is a matter of really asking yourself, do you really want this?
Yeah.
You know, because I think if we're not careful, fear can become a very convenient excuse as to why we're not doing things. You know, that first step, we make it so unreachable. We say, well, there's no way I can reach it.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage you to actually create a very small incremental step even before that. So there's, you know, you can do this step, and then let that be the encouragement. Okay, well, hey, at least I got started in my process. I got started in the regimen of getting over this fear. You know, I spoke earlier that, you know, at one point in time I had a fear of public speaking. While I was in the military, my job was to speak in front of audiences.
You have no choice.
I had no choice. I got to the point where I said, you know, I want to perfect this thing called public speaking. So I immersed myself in a Toastmasters. These became processes in the regiment to become a better speaker.
Exactly. And I think a good question is, you know, why do we consider certain things a challenge? You know, let me ask you that. Why do we consider certain things a challenge?
I think, oh man, there's a number of ways you can go with this. One of the first thing is, I think we live too much in the perceptions of other people. We make assumptions that people are perceiving things that may not even be true. One of my favorite scriptures and one of my favorite storylines from the Bible is about the children of Israel. When they went into the land of Canaan to spy it, they said, look, the land is good, but there's giants over there. And we're nothing but grasshoppers in their sights. Now, the question is, how can you know if you're a grasshopper in their sight if you never asked them? So they've convinced themselves that they were insignificant. And because they convinced themselves that they were insignificant, they weren't able to take on the next level that God wanted them to experience. And so oftentimes, like I said, we live in the perceptions, what we perceive other people believe about ourselves, and we convince ourselves that we're not capable of the next level. And then the last thing I think also, you know, we talked about last week, losing and failing sometimes is a part of the process. We will experience failure. I think if we don't look at the failure correctly, it will cause us to forfeit the whole process.
Right.
You know, oh man, I lost it and I just can't recover from that. You know, and so what was meant to be maybe a temporary, you know what, I lost, let me readdress it, maybe do something differently next time. We look at it and we just scrap the whole thing, and we give up on something that had a great deal of potential.
Most definitely. And if you have any feedback or questions, please feel free to comment. Please share the video, and please tag, and so other people can join in as well. I think another thing when it come down to challenge, that was a good point, man. When it come down to challenges, is we simply think it's difficult.
Yeah.
So it's part of the reason why we think it's difficult, because we think we're lacking something. We think we're gonna fall short. But this is the thing: when we finally pursue that thing that we consider fearful, or that we're afraid of, or that we consider a challenge, the good thing is it exposes some new things about ourselves. Whether we're 20 years old or we're 60 years old, if we're a mentor of mine told me that one of the things that you should always look forward to are challenges.
Yeah.
And he told me that because that's simply you're able to make new discoveries about yourself. And I think that's so important to understand that even though you consider this a challenge or this is something that you're fearful of, the thing is it's gonna expose something new within yourself. You get what I'm saying? And whatever it is that you're pursuing, now you know what that thing is. It may help you, it may not.
Yeah.
It may be relevant for something in the future, but the thing is you have made a new discovery because you have pursued that thing that you're fearful of or you consider a challenge. What's up, Mr. Perry? And what's up, Mr. Perry? How you doing? Appreciate you for joining in.
Yeah, I mean that's and you and I talk about this all the time. I don't think we put enough value on small victories, and because it's not the end result, it's not the big picture. Every time we get discouraged, and we fail to consider that, hey, you know what? I made improvement. I advanced. From last time. So celebrate the small victories because the small victories are once again they're incremental parts of the big picture.
Right.
They're helping you to perfect the thing. So once again, listen, we're talking about turning fear into opportunities, and if you're enjoying what you're hearing tonight, we're asking that you share this with everybody in your network.
Right. And so what else does it help us with? I think another thing that it helps us with, it really helps us really understand what we really are pursuing and how to go about doing it. So when you do fail, let's just say you do fail at whatever you're trying to do and you messed up. Now what happened is, okay, I shouldn't be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So the thing is with failing, we just don't want to feel that. We don't want to have that feeling. But the thing is, what's the positive side? We focus on the negative, what we're going to feel, but the positive side is it's going to get us one step closer to what we're pursuing. And that's a good thing. So it's a lot of things that we have pursued. It didn't go the way we wanted to go, but we always go back. Just like when we're in the military and we complete the mission, we get together and we say, okay, what went right, what didn't go right.
After action review.
That's it. And we have to do that each time, so we know, okay, next time we know not to do this. You get what I'm saying? Next time we know we need to make sure we bring this equipment with us. Next time we have to make sure that we discuss this before we go out on the mission. So these are all things throughout this whole process that's going to really help us make sure that the next time we're going to go a whole lot more smoother, and we're going to we may be a lot more efficient as well.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and you're speaking to a process because once again we're talking about how do you turn fear into an opportunity, and so earlier we talked about fear being a god. And so repetition is another way to get over fear. And so in your process of the observation, assessing what you did right, what you did wrong, that will help you to not be afraid the next time as you pursue the next thing. And that's also another key component in turning fear into an opportunity. One of the things I wanted to say, because earlier I did mention that fear, there's a somewhat of a healthy component to it. And I know that might seem very cliches, well, not cliches, but it might seem counterintuitive to what we're talking about. But hear me out. Listen, if you feel like going 120 miles an hour, in the 60 mile an hour zone, adrenaline kicks, guess what? That's fear. And that is healthy because you probably need to settle down. But, one of the things I wanted to say was, we're both discerning people. A lot of people listening to this show are people of discernment. And I have learned that one of the ways God warns me is I feel something that is similar to a feeling of fear. He normally uses that as a warning that you're getting ready to do the wrong thing.
Okay.
And so when I say that fear can be healthy, I just wanted to put that out there as well. You still have to assess what is this and why am I feeling this way to determine what that is. But I just wanted to say that I experience sometimes fear as a warning from God that I'm getting ready to do something that I'm not supposed to do. But here's also the other thing. I also feel a sense of fear when I'm getting ready to get promoted. And what it is that it's something's going on that's letting me know that, okay, you're getting ready to go to the next level. You need to prepare yourself for it because it's a new place. It's not fear as far as experiencing the new thing, but it's a very heightened awareness that I need to posture myself to get prepared for what's getting ready to come on the next level.
That's good, man. I think another thing is there's a difference between, this is my last point, when it comes down to being bold. There's a difference between being confident and being bold. I think being confident, you have the confidence or the will to actually step up. You have the will to step up on stage, to get promoted, to do something that's that we consider challenging. But to be bold is to really have that tunnel vision. To be bold is to really know how to handle that controversy. So I always ask people, it's very important to understand how well do you handle that controversy, because when you're walking in that boldness, when you walk in the way God really wants you to walk, people around you are going to be in disagreement with you.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when you're being obedient, it doesn't really matter who disagrees with you. But we have to still be focused. When people are disagreeing with you around you, are you going to make adjustments? You get what I'm saying? Because now if you're making adjustments, you're not really being bold, because you're not walking the way God wants you to really walk. So it's very important to be bold and to have that tunnel vision and understand that when you understand what you're supposed to be doing, everything else that has nothing to do with your assignment is actually irrelevant.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that's why it's so important to really have understanding of what you're really pursuing, because that is something else that we're fearful of. You know, some people are fearful of what people have to say. Are other people are going to agree with it? Or other people are going to accept it and so forth? But you have to have that boldness. And when you have that boldness, it's gonna really teach you and help you have that tunnel vision, really blocking everything out.
Yeah, man, listen. Once again, you hit a point that I wanted to hit, and so I'm gonna have to get you after this show.
It's all good, man.
But no, I mean, and that's what it really boils down to. We have to get to the point where we have to ask ourselves, and we hit this last week: is your purpose greater than your fear? Because like I said, we conveniently use fear as an excuse from pursuing the thing we're supposed to pursue. And so now we have to ask ourselves, did we really want it enough? Minus all the distractions, minus all of this external stuff, we need to conquer that inner turmoil that goes on, that inner conversation that says that we're not capable and we're not able to do this. We have to settle into the realization that, you know what, if God put it on our hearts to realize that he's already given it to us as our possession.
We already have it.
So go after it and pursue it. And that's how you turn, once again, fear into an opportunity. I'll say this and then I'm done. One of the things that if you read the story of the temptation of Jesus Christ, Satan was trying to distract him from what he was called to do. Fear is often one of the greatest tools to distract you from what you know you're supposed to be doing. And let that be an inclination that you might be moving on the right track when you start to feel that fear. Because the adversary is very much aware that what you're getting ready to do is getting ready to disturb and to destroy his kingdom. And our inability to act is actually halting something that God is trying to birth into this earth. Because once again, we're here for a purpose and for a reason. And if we're continuously living in a state of fear, we are not fulfilling that vision and that reason for being here.
Most definitely, most definitely. Like you said, when that fear is kicking in, something is about to happen, or something probably is blooming. Something probably is blooming, and that fear is trying to creep in to stop that. I do want to leave people with some action plans. I really want people to, everybody who's listening, I think there's something that we're all hesitating on, procrastinating on, something that we're just not doing because we're fearful of. But I really want people to identify at least 3 to 5 different things that you have hesitated on, probably this year, maybe last month, something that you procrastinated on, something that you just keep lagging on. I really want you to identify 3 to 5 things. And I really want you just to make a goal to really start to pursue those things. So those 3 to 5 things that you identify, just take time out of your schedule, identify those 3 to 5 things, and really make it a goal for this month or for the rest of the year to really dissect those things and pursue those things and pick those things back up. Because it's time for us to start really walking in our purpose, really pick those things up that we had a huge desire for, and really go for those things. You want to share something?
Yeah, I love that. And so to piggyback on Dominique, I will also say that if you do feel yourself experiencing some levels of fear, ask yourself, what is the message behind this anxiety that I'm feeling? You know, and get to the heart of the matter, you know, because at the end of the day, is it a distraction, or is it just something prompting you to make some different decisions ultimately to get to your desired result?
Most definitely. And if you're enjoying our broadcast, we really would love your support. You can easily just go to WYTV7.org and make a monetary contribution. We really would appreciate that. And we have some great things happening, and we're planning for it. We have some events happening very, very soon. So we're going to take these broadcasts and just have some live events. We want to connect with the guys, and we really want to bring these guys in. And if you're interested in getting some more information about these things, you can easily just message us your email, or you can just email us when men open up at gmail.com. When men open up at gmail.com. You can also inbox us on our Facebook page when men open up. And please continue to share the broadcast, because we really want other people to be impacted by this. And we do have another opportunity.
Yeah.
We have something, the product placement, correct?
We do. So listen, if you are interested in advertising with us, feel free to shoot us an inbox message. We will post your stuff on our show, advertise your business, because once again, we just appreciate your willingness to partner with us as we get this message about men overcoming the false narrative of masculinity out there to the world. That's a mouthful.
Most definitely, most definitely. And once again, my name is Dominique Bonds.
And my name is Dexter Peggins, Jr.
And this is When Men Open Up, where we are redefining manhood through transparency. Please join us next week, and we are out. Thank you so much.